Okay, let's see. Hey, Devin.
Hi.
Yeah, it works now. So last time we were
Every
not so lucky because I had to, figure out how things work on my Mac.
I look so out of place with you in the front of the green screen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I pretend to be a professional, but
I wish, I had a little more setup time. I should have thought about it. I have a green screen sitting in my
really, you
closet.
have one?
Yeah, I used to
Oh
stream
yeah, yeah,
a couple
yeah.
years
You
ago.
told me. You actually you shared so many valuable insights last time when was not able to stream. But you say that's part of the journey.
Absolutely. Everything falls
Yeah,
apart before it gets
yeah.
better.
So let's share this also on Twitter that we are live. Oh, there was a yeah. I set up an automate tweet, so we are live. So how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I got no complaints.
That's great. That's great.
I'm excited to get into more Storybook because I haven't really touched it in like a week or two because once I deployed ours at work, I haven't had to use it
Really?
since. Yeah, I mean, I've used it to like use the components and look at them, but I haven't had to build out anything for it.
Ah, okay, okay.
We uh we use the blueprints extension, so every time we create a new component, it automatically generates a storybook
Oh,
file.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
I mean, Storybook 6, you started using Storybook 6, right?
Yeah, I had to upgrade so we had an existing instance of Storybook at
Okay.
work, and I had to go through and upgrade it because it was on 5.1 or something. It was really outdated,
Okay. So,
which led to its own challenges in configuration and stuff like that. But
yeah, I can imagine, yeah. So maybe you want to introduce yourself first, and then we can talk a little bit about Storybook, what it is, so that people who are not aware of Storybook or haven't used it yet know what we're doing here, and then we can jump right into the code.
sure, absolutely. Yeah. So my name's Devin Ford. I'm Devin D. Ford on Twitter. I recently started as a part-time software engineer at a startup it's based out of Washington, D.C. in the United States. I've been coding for about 9-ish months, give or take my horrible ability to do time and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I am a community taught self-driven developer, and that's my story for what it's worth.
That's cool. And you learned everything, or you committed to learn in public, right? So you shared your journey ever since you're on Twitter, right?
Yes, I everything I did through everything I learned, I was very upfront and transparent about
Yeah,
on Twitter, especially because I got stuck on and that kind of
yeah.
stuff.
And how was it for you to publicly to learn in public to share your story, your journey, your milestones, and everything else?
At first, it was a little intimidating, and to be honest, I kind of more in the beginning, it started as a very selfish reason. I wanted a way to keep myself accountable
Yeah,
and find other people to hold me
yeah,
accountable. And then it kind of transformed from that to I got so much out of the community and I've made so many connections just being able to, learning out
yeah,
loud and doing it that way that I ended up kind of pivoting how I'm using my Twitter. So I'm still very much, now I'm working out loud and learning out loud, if that
yeah.
makes sense. But I more so now try to use it to provide resources that I really wish I
Mm-hmm.
had when I had started, or wish things were more compiled and easier to
Mm-hmm.
find. So I try to put out anything like, especially if I discover an easier way, like Storybook's a
Yeah,
good example. Like if I get really stuck on something and I, have to Google for 4 hours and I find a really easy way to do it at the end of that mess, I try to, put out a tweet about it. Like, if you use and run Storybook this way with this command, then, it should smooth out your whole operation from
yeah,
the
yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, that's one thing I try to do too. So share as soon as I find a bug or something that has cost me hours of investigation and everything, to share it, or at least write it down somewhere so that I can find it later on. But yeah, that's cool. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, learning in public is one thing I want to try and do more too now. That's also one reason why I started live streaming, because it's not only learning in public how to do live stream, how to moderate, how to talk, and everything, but also when you code, um, you can try and share new stuff and share it with the people and get instant feedback. That's cool.
Yeah, this is actually a really awesome platform to be able to do it. It's something that eventually I would like to pivot
Yeah,
into, but it's just I haven't found the. I, I wonder how many people want to sit around and watch me have to Google, Flexbox for 3 hours because I forgot how to make the width work the right
yeah.
way.
How to center an element in a diff? You could
Exactly.
change the scene in Streamlabs and just show your webcam and say, yeah, I need to Google something secret
Yeah,
private, and don't tell people about it.
I promise I know
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
Yeah, but I mean, when I started, first I was afraid of starting live streaming because I had this feeling of, oh no, I don't want to see people. I don't want that people see me looking up stuff on Google. But then I thought, why not? It's every developer does it. I know seniors; they look up stuff all the
Hmm.
time. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can't know everything
Yeah, I
all the
agree.
time. It's impossible.
I literally I bring up that Flexbox example because that's what I spent 2 hours doing last night. Is I was fighting with Flexbox and
Yeah,
FlexSpaces for something at work.
yeah, yeah. Flexbox. Sometimes it's magic still. That's right. Okay, so let's see. Which scene is it? Let's see. Scene 4? No, this one. Okay, so people should now see should see the Chrome browser. So we can introduce Storybook and let people know what Storybook is all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I really like this GIF here, or GIF. I don't know how you call it. But
I use
yeah,
GIF, but that's a whole
yeah,
other
that's we
story.
could do a live stream about that. But
Exactly.
but I mean, I've shown this GIF to many people, and it illustrates pretty good what Storybook is all about. So I mean, what you get here is that all your components, or they call it stories, but basically a story is a composition of some or one component. And then you can get a canvas where the component is rendered, and you have, oh no, now the GIF changed to the docs. Hopefully they go back. Yeah, they go back to the canvas. So you can interact with the component like it's in your app, like it's live. You can change things here in the knobs, interact. Now he changed the label, and the label changed immediately. So it's basically a playground and see your components in action. And the best part, what really got me hooked, is that you see the components isolated. You just focus on the components, because when I started working with React at the current company I'm working at, um, I had to develop component in the full-blown app. So it was like, okay, come on, develop, I don't know, a gallery or whatever, and go to this page, which was the local setup of the customer app, and integrate it. And I was overwhelmed because it
Hmm.
was, okay, there are so many things here. I just want to focus on this one thing and make it work, and don't depend on other things. Because oftentimes I got into the situation where I made or connected two components that were not really connected, or should not share the same thing or whatever, just because they were on the same
Hmm.
page and I was able to, which is not what you do in Storybook. You just focus on this one component and work with it.
Yeah, I really like that. It's like you said that it's isolated. It allows you to pass those props in, or as they call them, actions, and see how to manipulate it and everything ahead of time without having to, you know, the struggle of going through your code and passing in props to specific
Yeah,
components to see how they change that
yeah,
component, because it's not always apparent when you're looking at the code itself, especially if you're coming into an existing code base of what this is intended
yeah.
to do. So like, just for a quick example, like at my job we have pre-built components. We use a molecular style of folder
Mm,
structure and everything like that. and there was a component, for example, that took a padding, but what I didn't realize is that until Storybook was implemented, is that that padding only affects the padding
Oh,
top. And it was specifically designed that way because of how things are laid out. But me, not knowing that ahead of time, I thought I could pass in a full padding render, and that's not how it worked.
yeah, yeah. And
So with Storybook, it's nice because I can go into Storybook, and as I type in this padding, I'll see right away, like you get that
yeah,
instant feedback of, oh, it's only taking in the top
yeah,
padding.
exactly. And I mean, you could also render the entire app in Storybook. So I mean, what I've also done in some cases, I orchestrated the entire page. So I put the providers around, mocked Apollo and other providers, and just rendered the entire page. So it's still possible. So you can go from, just rendering a button to a bigger component, even entire pages. So there is no
Yeah,
limit.
we I'm a really big fan of the molecular style of breaking up
Yeah.
components into like atoms and
Oh
molecules
yeah.
and organisms, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. And have you ever used, is it chromatic? The
So I've looked into chromatic a little bit because of work, but I haven't used it myself. I like the idea behind it in the CI/CD and
yeah.
everything like that, but I just haven't delved too deep into it to really know what it's all about and how it works
Yeah.
exactly.
Because that's one thing I'm currently focusing on in our company, or at least try to do it and set it up, is that you can use those stories also for visual regression tests and other stuff. So because one thing we sometimes struggle with is that when you change a component, you test it in Storybook in this isolated view, and you have no clue what happens on other pages. So if like the padding example or margins, if you mess up with the layout or something else, and with these tools like chromatic, you could go one step further and test all the stories in Storybook. And as you see here, we do the visual test here and see what happened if there was an unexpected side effect because you changed things.
Oh, that's actually really nice. That's something I'm really gonna have to look
Yeah,
into because I spent part of my morning today refactoring a component and passing in new props for
yeah,
it. So it would be nice to not have to kind of dig and see every use case to make sure that it didn't break
yeah,
other stuff.
yeah. And you see, I mean, you see it in live stream because I haven't shared my Chrome with you, but there is also a GIF, or you just go to chromatic.com. And you see in this GIF here, he just published a new component, and chromatic takes a screenshot and compares old and new, and you see what changed automatically.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
really
really,
nice.
and from what I've seen from the website, you also get an overview where you see everything that has changed, and you can integrate it in your CI. So you should
Hmm.
see changes. Yeah, you see there's also Storybook Publish UI review, so you could integrate it with, I don't know, Travis or something, and get instant feedback. Because that happens a lot in
Yeah, that
our
would be
projects,
nice.
that you test this one story in Storybook, and then things break, and you weren't aware of that.
Yeah, the side effects, unfortunately, of reused components sometimes. I mean, it's such a nice thing. Like component-driven
Yeah,
development is great, but it definitely has its downsides, and that's certainly
yeah,
one of them. Is, trying to, opposed to styling everything every single time and all that, which is tedious and obviously becomes an issue. But the upside is that it's
yeah,
isolated.
yeah,
So it's nice that Chromatic provides that kind of tool to kind of eliminate some of that headache, or at least automate
yeah.
it a little.
I mean, I think they have a free version for open source. I mean, we could try to set it up because it says it takes just 2 minutes. Set up in 2 minutes. So
Yeah, I mean, I've signed up and implemented it before, but I'm not sure, or I haven't implemented it. I signed up and then I kind of was like, do I really? I wasn't too focused on it to where I wanted to,
yeah,
create another fork or my work and do it that way, or another branch rather. Sorry.
yeah, don't worry. Okay, so I think that's it for the introduction. Let's jump right into the code and let's try it. Let's see, where is my Streamlabs? So I'd seen two, I think. I still need to get used to my Stream Deck. I need to add some icons so that I know which scene I select, but yeah, step by step.
Those are a lifesaver once you get them, though.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we have set up a clean project. There is nothing inside the project except for one file, the package JSON. And so what's is it npx, no, is it storybook init, right? Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
So with this command, Storybook sets up, or no, let's set up create React app first, because Storybook detects that you're inside create React app.
Can't we do both, or can't you do the init? I forget. Isn't there a way to do Storybook init with React?
I know. Init with create React app. Let's see. Because I know that they detect it. Yeah, so create our application with npx create React app, and then you do the init. Yeah. Okay, so let's.
I couldn't remember if there was an included package that did it all.
Okay, so let's see. Can I do it with dot? Maybe they delete the package JSON. Never mind. Let's remove it and install it. This should work. And if not, then I create a subfolder. No. Why is the package JSON back again?
Well, I think it just installed that.
Ah, yeah. But it's not proper JSON. Let's see what happens.
Maybe it just allowed you access to it early.
I know. I see your cursor in the file, so I don't know if you have autosave on or something, and you were still in the file and then it saved it.
I don't know. Maybe I definitely have autosave on because I have a bad tendency of forgetting to hit the button.
Okay, I deleted it again, and now it's created. Let's see. Yeah, it looks better. Yeah. So let's see. Still installing. Do you work a lot with Create React app, especially in the beginning when you started learning React?
Yeah, so I did when anytime I spin up a React app now, I use it because it's just, instead of going through all that boilerplate, it just provides everything, and then I just delete half of what it provides. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, when I started, I did the other way around. So as I said, I started at the company. They worked with React already, and instead of going for the Create React app route, I learned React with their app. So I did not play around with Create React app or any other boilerplate. So I started with their app already. And actually, it was good actually in the end, because I learned a lot of things that in the end turned out to be very valuable for me, because I learned a lot of under the hood things, also Webpack perspective and something like that, because when you use Create React app, you don't have to touch those things. And when you need to change Webpack or set it up by yourself, you need to learn it from scratch. And I learned it already when I did that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I want to look into to have that value, because if, for whatever reason, someday Create React app isn't supported, I would like to know how to do it, but I haven't had the use case where I needed to.
So let's see, because now we can test that I share the server with you. Let's see, I have an old localhost online here. It's still starting, and now it should work. There it goes.
The host server shared with you. Yes.
Do you see it? Right. Oh yeah, I shared it with you already. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so let's stop React app or Create React app, and let's init Storybook. So what's the next command? It's npx. Oh yeah, the package is called add Storybook. Yeah, they renamed a lot of their packages in the past.
Yeah.
So let's see. It should be npx.
Um, so with live
Yeah,
share, I can only see get ignore package in Yarn. I can't see the actual project files.
really? So you don't see public
Uh,
source?
oh no, never mind. I had to refresh it manually.
Ah,
Now it's
okay.
there, which is strange. Oh, because it's hosted on your side, so nothing's installed over here. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
more
yeah,
sense.
yeah. So if you
Because like I don't have the node files
yeah,
or
so
anything.
if you run yarn start or something, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, that makes sense.
detecting, adding, and we're. Have you? We should have started a timer and see how long it takes us to set up Storybook.
It should. Oh, you mean like with
Yeah,
React
yeah.
App and everything?
Because maybe
Because I was going to say it should give you an output at the end
yeah,
of it of how long it took to spin up. Storybook's pretty quick
yeah,
though. The uptime, it's probably 5 minutes if I had to
yeah.
estimate to go from nothing to fully running.
So let's see. We're almost there, and then
Yeah, it's
so when you do Storybook,
so do
sorry.
you I was just gonna ask, do you regularly use Yarn or you use NPM?
I use Yarn. I use only Yarn these days. But I
Yeah, I use it at work, so it's just become a
yeah,
habit
yeah.
now.
It's actually it's easier to type Yarn for me now than npm. I don't know why. I'm so used to it. But I
Mm-hmm.
think there is not much difference now. When I started coding or working with Yarn and npm in the past, there was a difference. So at one point Yarn was faster and some other features, but
Mm-hmm.
now I think there is hardly any difference. But one thing I'm not sure about if npm has that feature is the workspaces. So when we had mono repos in the past, we used Lerna.js, but now you can do almost everything with Yarn workspaces. I'm not sure if npm has the
Yeah.
same feature.
So I don't believe so because that was everybody's. I recently asked on Twitter what the difference was
Oh yeah,
because,
I've seen your
again,
tweet.
for
Yeah.
my use cases, I haven't found any. And that was everybody's big sticking point with Yarn was that they had the workspaces. I haven't personally used them, even though we are in a mono repo at
Okay.
work, but I haven't found a need or it's pre-broken up and I'm just not seeing it
Yeah.
already
So
because our dependencies are pretty much shared across because the first one is just a components repo that's built out and then we use everything out of that
okay.
build and then we have two different portals for what we're doing.
Ah, interesting. I mean, the mono repo setup could be a live stream on its own. So
Mm.
when I set up my first mono repo, I was surprised how difficult it can be to manage the package A depends on package B and everything. It was not that
Mm-hmm.
easy when I first did it, but yeah.
Yeah, thankfully I wasn't the one that had to set it up. So.
Oh, you're lucky, man. But again, I learned a lot, so it was
Yeah.
valuable for me in the end. So okay, so yeah, let's see. Storybook is installed. So in our source file, we have stories now already coming with the storybook init command, and they also added a build and a storybook command to our package JSONs. And if we run storybook, so was the tweet about Yarn and npm a survey or just a tweet?
So I had asked,
Because
it was a tweet where I pretty much just asked people what the difference
okay,
was or what they used and what the difference was because I literally wasn't seeing any difference. And that was pretty much like the theme for the most part was obviously back in the day, Yarn was created and was much faster than NPM, but NPM has
yeah,
caught up. So now it's I have to update Storybook again. Anyway, sorry. Um, but yeah, so that was pretty much like the main thing people pointed out was the
yeah,
workspaces.
yeah, yeah. But let's see. Okay, so Storybook is up and running. We have some. Whoops, I don't want to click on that. So we have. I mean, you need to watch a live stream to see
Huh.
Chrome or what I'm doing. But I just opened.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say because
Yeah, that.
I can't open Storybook on my
Oh,
end.
wait a sec. I need to share that port with you too because I think I just shared. So what's the port? Okay, that's
6006.
yeah. So let's see. Localhost. Oh, then it just okay. Just did it. Now you should see it.
Perfect. Yeah, now I'm able to open
Okay,
Storybook.
perfect. So yeah, Storybook in it comes with some demo stories. You get a button, a header, and a page. Yeah, they actually they have a full blown page example. That's cool. So when I go to the button story primary, you see the control. Have you played around with the controls? They're really great.
Um, yeah, I've used the controls a few times. It's nice that you can add like the background color selector is really good. You know, being able to add like a specific color selector. I did it for I had to build out a
Oh yeah.
typography story, and what I did was we obviously only pass H1 through P, and instead of having to make the person type it out every single time, I did the drop down selector and just added those
Oh yeah.
values,
Yeah.
which was pretty nice, just for an easy use more than
Yeah.
anything.
So yeah, I mean, in the past you had to use the knobs, and now they have built-in controls, which I enjoy a lot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very nice.
and so so this is the canvas. I'm still streaming it or showing it in the stream. So these are the controls we're
Hmm.
talking about. So you can interact here with the component and change the label and like sizes and everything. And in the docs tab, that's also one thing I enjoy a lot since Storybook 6, the generated docs page. So you get here a little, so
Yeah,
you
it's
get the
nice.
canvas here again, also the properties. They, what's really cool is that they get, or that they parse the uh, JSDoc comments of your properties, or even for TypeScript definitions, TypeScript comments,
Hmm.
and then you get it here and see, okay, I have a property called background color. The description, it should be a string, has no default, and I can change it here and play around with the color. And you see,
The other thing I like that it does is the that it provides the code
yeah,
snippets where you can click underneath the window and hit
yeah,
show code.
yeah. There was a package in the past called, I don't know, Storybook Addon JSX, I think was the name, and it kind of worked, but this built-in one is way better. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another pro feature I enjoy a lot is that you can share those stories. So if your storybook is available on, I don't know, dev.com of your app, then you can just share the link with your product owner, with your customer, and show them either the entire storybook or just a selected story, which is also great
Hmm.
because then they can play around and even started to share the storybook with designers so that they see their design in action, and also especially for
Yeah.
new designers, if the designer hasn't worked for the project, they can play around and see how things work, because it's
No, it definitely has its advantages for
yeah.
sure.
And yeah, so you can also change the background. That comes also built in, I think. You can add a grid, so if you want to see how this aligns in a grid, it's probably more interesting on the page. Yeah, you can see a grid here on the logged in page, for instance. And another great feature is that you can change the viewport. So you can say, I want to see it on
Hmm.
mobile, on large mobile, or on tablet. That's also nice.
And those are actually, you can actually go in and customize those
Yeah,
out. So you can add, every single phone, whatever viewports you need to check for in your app, which depending on what it is, but for most people, it's going to be a lot. So it's nice that you can go in and customize for even when, I know everybody kept talking about the Galaxy Fold because of the width and how you have to set up the
yeah,
pages for that now. And it's just good practice to get
yeah,
into.
yeah. One thing that would be really cool to have is that you can see the different viewports next to each other, like in tool, like you get with tools like Polypane. Shout out for Polypane, really nice tool. So that you could see them all side by side. That would be great. Because currently you don't you just see one
nice.
size, but it could be. I mean, I have a huge screen, so for me it would be valuable if I see this, for instance, 3 viewports next to each other, so I don't have to switch it and see it side.
Yeah, like I mean, for development now, I use the Responsively app all the
Oh
time
yeah,
because it's awesome stuff.
yeah, yeah. The response.
And open source and free for anybody looking for an alternative.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think? Should we create our first own story?
I think we should, but again, it's been a while since I've had to do it from scratch with nothing in. Do we have to set up a main and a preview file still?
Let's see. Let's. I mean, we've played around with the outcome. Let's see what Storybook has created for us. I mean, now you can follow me again because you see the visual. You see my visual code, and you can follow my cursor.
Mm-hmm.
So, what Storybook has created for us, besides some example stories in source, is this .storybook folder with the main.js, and here you can install add-ons and also provide a select or regex or any other path where Storybook can find the stories. Oh, package JSON was saved again. Did you change something?
No.
Interesting. Okay, never mind. So
Live share problems.
Last time audio problems, this time live. Oh, hi, Danny. Oh, Danny is here.
Hi, Danny.
Okay, so yeah, you see Storybook also already added some paths for us and also add-ons. So there's 3 add-ons: the links, the essentials, and the preset create React app. I haven't played with the links add-on, but I think from what I remember is that you can link stories together. So you can say when you click on the button that it opens another story or something.
I believe so,
Would
yeah.
make
So
sense.
like this way, like if your button opens a modal, it'll go to the modal story and that kind of stuff. I haven't personally used it yet, but
thank you, Danny. I appreciate it. Okay, so yeah, the main JS file is where you can customize Storybook. You can also customize Webpack, for instance. So in one of our apps, I had to customize Storybook's Webpack to support SVGR. I don't know if you have played with SVGR already with the package.
I have not.
So basically, what SVGR does is it's a package for SVGs, and it creates optimized React components when you import an SVG file. It's really handy. So especially when you get SVGs from a designer and they haven't optimized the SVG, they have title in it, some attributes you don't need. You just save the SVG as is in your project, and SVGR takes care of the rest. That's really handy, really. So it optimizes it. It throws away stuff you don't need in the SVG file. It's really cool. But to use it in Storybook, you have to adapt and change the main.js file.
Okay.
So, but we don't have to in our demo today. But so that just that people know, you can customize it here. Hey, Simon.
Hello, Simon.
Thank you. So the other file you were talking about was the preview.js. Really small here, so there's not much inside this file right now. What can you do again in the preview.js? Changing the theme, right?
Yeah, so you can wrap it's where you provide any kind of context theme. You're going to wrap in, so if you have a lot of logic in some of your Storybook components, you can wrap your Redux or whatever you're using for a context provider around it, and it'll make the canvas usable for logic as well as, specific theme-based stuff. And you can even just do a regular wrapper if you wanted to make it so that your preview is never bigger than 500 by 200 pixels or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. Now I remember that you can put providers in here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You,
Yeah, so it allows you to customize a lot of what
yeah,
you're doing when it comes to what's provided
yeah.
on the canvas.
And and you can add another file, middleware JS. So let's say you have static files that are outside of, let's say, Storybook's scope. So you have a component that fetches, I don't know, SVGs from a certain URL. You can create here a main a middleware JS file. I mean, I could add it, but let's just talk about it. And then you can create a little
Hmm.
Express server and provide the files to Storybook. That's also really handy. I had to
Okay.
use that in too in some projects. And there is another thing, you can add the preview HTML. Is it called preview HTML? Where you can add tags to the head and or body tag of Storybook.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. I haven't I didn't really have the use case for it, I guess, so I didn't even really dive too much deep
Yeah.
into it. I remembered seeing something about it, but for me it was we're only using it locally. We're not hosting it
Ah,
out right
okay,
now,
okay.
so
Yeah, as I said, we also presented to our customer. That's why I had to take care of those things. Thank
hmm.
you, Chris. Bye. Okay, so that's what Storybook created so far when we did the Storybook in it. So are we ready now for our first story from scratch?
Absolutely.
You know what we could do, because I prepared a repo already for this, and I know how to do it. So we have, where is it? We have app.js. So this is from Create React app, and the first thing I did when I prepared for this was creating a story for app.js, so that we can see the Create React app spinner inside Storybook. So what we basically do is, that's also an interesting question I love to ask, is where do you put stories? Do you put it next to the, in this case, app.js file, or also in a stories folder like they do here?
So how we do it is um I have a base stories folder, like, or the storybook folder, and then I direct my main.js to find the stories within the component
Mm-hmm.
folders. So like I was talking about, we use
Oh yeah,
Blueprint, which is an
Blueprint.
extension that allows, the predefined blueprint when you build out a new component, and it includes a story
Mm-hmm.
file. So when we build components, let's say we're building the button, just for example, we'll make a folder called button, and then inside that folder I'll have the story file and then everything else associated with that component.
Okay.
So our storybook pulls directly from our components
Okay.
folder.
Yeah, yeah. Because the way we do it usually is, let's just for demo, is, yeah, oops, it's called, whoops, it's not called components.
Thank you, Francesco.
Components. Hey, Francesco. Thank you. So yeah, so you have a components folder, and then let's say, I don't know, what do we create? A typography, because you said you had to create a typography.
Yep.
And then, and next chat. Oh man, I'm so used to TypeScript. I almost typed index tsx.
I know I'm gonna catch myself doing it too.
Do you? So you use TypeScript too? Okay,
Yes.
it's perfect. I like TypeScript. So okay,
I like it too. It took a little getting used to, but now that I've used it, I don't think I could not use
yeah,
it.
it's when I go back to JavaScript files, it's like I miss something. Like the I don't know who called it safety net on Twitter, but someone recently tweeted, coming from TypeScript and working with JavaScript again, or plain JavaScript, is like working without a safety net. So you're you're
Agreed.
somewhere on top of a mountain, or a ladder or something, and then you're just like, oh no, I don't know what's happening. Um, so yeah, but before I create the typography, let's create a story for app, because I said let's create this one for app first. So I create an app stories JS, not TSX. And let's put it on the side here. Now let's put it on the left. And the way story, so to write a story, we first import React, and then import the app from app So semicolon or no semicolon?
So I don't use them
Yeah.
anymore. I used to be a big proponent on it, but
Yeah, me too.
I think it's become a preference thing more than a requirement.
Yeah, so I just need to create a prettier config here, because that's basically my first setup thing, creating a prettier config.js. Better. It's like, you know, when you're used to something, it feels unnatural when you don't have this. Crazy. Okay, so when you create a story, you need to export a default. Yeah, exactly. With a title. So let's say this is create react app / app, and then so this is like Storybook uses this for the title here. I mean, I switched to Chrome. You can't see it, but I switched to Chrome. So the title is what you see here. So example button. So this example button is what I do here with create react app / app. And then you can provide a component, which in my case is app. So when you provide a component in the default here, Storybook uses this for inferring the controls. So now Storybook knows, okay, it's about the app, and they can, you know, check out the props and descriptions and everything. So
yeah, and I've noticed depending on how you want to do the docs, what you can do with your export default is at the end of it you can add as meta and then import the meta tag from Storybook. And it helps a little bit with the way the documentation is laid out if you're not going to custom write your documentation.
Okay.
Which is pretty
That's
nice.
Cool, yeah.
But that might only be a TypeScript thing. I'm not positive.
Let's see if it works in JavaScript too. So, so to create a story, you export a const. In this case, let's say it's called app, and we want to render the app. Let's see if it works. Sign up. Oh no, no anonymous default export. Okay, ESLint is complaining here, but let's ignore that for now.
So that's another thing that the meta somehow gets rid of, is that ESLint doesn't mind it if it's exported with the as meta tag at the end of it.
You mean
it's like
right
a weird
as
after
meta
effect.
here?
Yeah. So you would type it like this, and then we're not using TypeScript, so it's not going to auto import it. But if I remember correctly, it's
I'm curious, but this is a type. I'm not sure if this works.
I believe that should work. Maybe not.
No, but it should not. It's basically
type assertions. Oh yeah, it's TypeScript.
Yeah. But nice try. All nice try. Okay, but let's ignore the warning for now. Okay, so we told Storybook that we want to have a story with this title for this component, and we exported one story. And let's go back to Chrome. Oh, I quit Storybook, so I should start it again. I don't see a result when it's not working. You know, one thing I noticed is when we first started using Storybook 6, we were not sure how to call these named exports here, and we were like, okay, this is, I don't know, basic or standard or something like that. But then I saw when I read the docs that when this is called like the app here, or this like app here, the name here, but just starts with a lowercase, then you will see it here, then it just creates one level. So if I name this, I don't know, standard, for instance, it will create a folder called app, and there is the story standard. Because we had lots of those folders with just basic in it, because we were not aware that you can export it like this, and things will be a lot easier.
That's good to know, because like a lot of mine are like default. I would use default in front of a lot of stuff.
So yeah, that's
so like for like your base button, I would use default button, or you know.
Yeah, we did that too, but then we had lots of those folders with just one story, and I thought, oh man, we should optimize it, and we did, and it's working good. I mean, it even works with spaces. So when I say here, let's say demo app, all you have to do is say demo app, and then it should work too. Let's see. Yeah, works.
That's good. So the other thing I always like to point out, because it took me a little while to figure this out, is if people notice when you have your Chrome open and you're looking at your demo app, it says that your story is not configured to handle controls.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Args, right? Yeah, we use Args. So what you have to do,
I go back to Visual Code,
so you're going to be in Visual Studio Code, and what we're going to do is we're going to pass an argument in like this, and I don't know if it specifically has to be Args. It's just what Storybook uses. I assume you can just pass props, and then you have to spread it into your component itself, and after it builds out, when you go back to Storybook, you'll actually have the ability to use all those controls for any kind of props that are passed into.
Let's see, it's still rebuilt. Has it done already? Yeah, let's refresh it. It still says story is not configured to handle controls.
So what I've noticed with that, if that is the case and that's what happens, it's usually because that story just doesn't have any props to pass in, which I believe is the case with.
Because I just wanted to ask if you need to add something to default, because I know in their docs, many of the default exports have args there too, because you can also add args to the default.
So you can add your own arguments, but what I did will auto-populate the controls folder. So this will pull arguments out
the
of
props.
Whatever is out of the props that are passed in for that component automatically, and then we'll generate that control file. If you don't have controls, let's just say for example we wanted to edit the background color, then on your export default you can do type or archetypes.
I think it's archetypes,
yeah. And then just for example, if I wanted to add background color, you do it like this, and then you create another bracket, you type in control type, and then we're going to say color. It has to be in quotes, and that should take that. I believe that's the correct syntax for it to work.
Let's see. Oh yeah. Now there are colors. Choose color.
Now, I don't think it'll actually change anything because it doesn't take that prop in on the app.
Yeah, but let's see. Let's try this out. So I go to the app and let's say background color is a property, and we just render the string. So learn React with the background color. Where is it? Here. Do we need a hash? I don't know. Let's see what we get. I don't know if we just get. Let's see. I think we get the hex value.
I think it should pass the hash. I do not remember.
Let's see. Okay. Oh no, we get an RGBA. RGBA.
Oh.
But it doesn't matter. Now you see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It works. Woo.
But yeah, so essentially, like if you wanted to use that to change the actual background color, what we could do is if you go back to that app file, under the whole div itself, what we can do is we can pass in a style, and then we can pass in the background color. I can't type.
You're in Vim mode, right? Do you use the Vim mode? The VI? Okay.
No.
Because I'm always curious who uses the VI mode in VS Code.
And then
this should be it already.
Oh god, I haven't done inline styles in so long. Yeah, it should just take background
let's
color.
See. Okay, let's magic and no background color.
Yeah, no, I think I have to do background color, and then
let's inspect the div.
I believe that's
Oh, we're selecting the wrong element. So because we imported styles, or we imported app CSS, and app CSS applies the background to the header element. So we just need to move it down to this element.
And I believe that syntax should be right
No, it's
now.
just no. The syntax was correct. There was just we were just on the wrong element.
Oh, it was just me. Okay.
Let's see. Oh no. Okay, let's inspect. Oh no, yeah, now it's working. Okay, it was rebuilding. So you should see also in your storybook that can change the background now. Fancy. And
and
yeah.
actually, I believe that if we go back to the app stories file and we drop this arg type, so let's comment this out, it should still pull the background color argument into the controls. It's just not going to give you the color controller.
Yeah, let's see if this works. Yeah, now it says now the story is not configured to handle controls. So there must be some syntax, something that Storybook does this automatically. Let's see, because I know that add control
that it auto populates controls.
But let's see what we need to do for that.
By the way, their documentation is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
Auto generate controls. Install button.
What are controls?
You must fill in the component field in your stories. Oh, you know why? Because we're not passing background color as a prop. We're just hard coding it in the style.
Oh.
So we would have to pass in a background color prop.
Yeah.
Or as a prop, and then be able to do it that way. So it's looking for a prop that's not there.
Yeah, easy. It works like this with archetypes anyway. Whoops. Let's create this again. Okay, that's cool. And you know, in Storybook 5 they had this other syntax where you needed to stories off I believe.
Yes.
And then you could add I don't know, add. I think it was add. So the old syntax was like this, and then we would need to.
Yeah, now it's a little different. You can use they call them templates now, which are actually really nice. And I use them in some use cases. It depends. If it's something that doesn't require a lot of logic, but just a couple argument changes, then I'll use them. But most of the time, I do it the way that we did it there, where we export that specific one with the args, and then I'll do that for like each button, like loading, But if it's something that requires like a lot of arguments or a lot of customization, then I try to use the template. It just makes life easier than having to pass in each argument that way.
But you know why I wanted to talk about the old syntax is that the new syntax, they call it CSF, custom story format, I think, is that you can use this stories file also in your tests. Because in the old way with nice. Stories of add, it doesn't allow you to use this file again in tests. So this is really helpful because let's say you have a story with a complex mock or fixture. So let's say you need to mock Apollo for requests or something. You need to do this once here in the story, and you can use this export, in our case the export demo app, and use it in your tests again. So, and this is really helpful because you just need to do it once. And if things break, you know that the stories are not working and the tests. So either one of them will give you a hint that something is wrong because you're connecting them.
Okay.
And that works now that they're using this new format. It didn't work with Stories Off because Stories Off was Storybook specific.
Okay, that's good. And then the other thing, since we're kind of like still on arguments a little bit, is so we have this background color picker and everything like that. So let's say that we had multiple different ways we want to provide the layout. So a light mode, a dark mode, that kind of stuff. So we would render, obviously demo app, and then, we could render another, which would be the, I'm still not used to my commands. I switched over to Mac and it's driving me. It's great, but I don't know my keyboard shortcuts now.
You will get used to it soon, I'm sure.
So like we could use demo app and then light app, for example. And what's nice about it is, so like your default argument is going to be whatever's configured in the app that it pulls in. So obviously the background is dark. So let's say we wanted a light mode for this. We could do light app and then dot args, and you can equal those to an object, and then you can change the passed in arguments and have it equal. Oh, what is the syntax for this? It's been a second.
Don't
Hold
worry.
on. Are we just passing the
I
hex
think
to it
yeah. So I don't know, or
in a
you could also
quote?
say, for instance, oh no, not light blue. We're in dark mode, so it's dark blue. I don't know, is dark blue or
No, no, no. We're in dark mode by default, so it
okay,
would be
so
light
it's
blue. I think
light
you were right.
blue. Let's see.
That should work, I believe.
Let's see. So there's a light. Yeah, it works.
So yeah, that's nice. Is that when you're going through your storybooks, you can pass default arguments for it to
Yeah.
have, and it still allows you to, change the background on it if you wanted to like find a different light blue or something like that. But at least this way, when it renders out the apps, the other thing that I believe you can do with that, but it's been a minute, is there is a way to change it so that the default background is the dark version. So like if you have a button that is like really light colored and it's hard to see on a light background, you can actually default the preview background to be dark.
Yeah, maybe you can do this in the default explorer, because the default, or I don't know. No, the default would be for the entire file. So yeah.
Yeah, I forget exactly how to pass it now off the top of my head. I could technically just
maybe there is a besides, because I only use Args, so this is also new for me, but very interesting. Maybe there is something like light app dot options or some sorts of.
It's something along those lines.
So,
I apologize. Give me one
don't worry.
second, and
Don't
I will
worry.
get new window.
So let's see what I do in the meantime. Because I've seen another syntax on there in their documentation with the bind command. So let's see. Let's copy this here, because I find this also very useful with the bind. There should be an example.
Okay, that's how you do it. I think it's per component.
Okay.
Or per export default. I don't know if you can add parameters to a specific. So it's called parameters. So how you would do it to an entire component, so everything that renders, what we can do here is you enter parameters as another
also
argument.
for the archetypes. Oh, okay.
And then I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to be in archetypes. That's just me being bad at paying attention. So you're going to punch in parameters under your default, and then you're going to open a set of curly brackets, and you're going to pass the background parameter, and then you're going to do another set of curly brackets, and it wasn't supposed to autofill that. And then you're going to do your default as dark, and what that will do is, as the entire render for this specific component folder, now we'll have, of course, you won't really be able to see it in Storybook right now, but
because we have
your background's auto going to be selected to dark because we're taking up the whole canvas.
But we could say the default background color is transparent, just so we can show the dark mode for it. Transparent, just to show that dark mode works. Let's see. Oh, story is gone. What?
Yeah, no, I didn't like that argument.
Oh yeah, I copied light app.
You're passing.
There was a typo. Classic. So let's see. But the demo, there is no dark mode. The canvas is now white because the background color is transparent.
It should have changed it automatically to.
So where in the docs is this? In the intro to Storybook?
So if you go into, it's under writing stories, you go to parameters.
So let's see, I'm on learn. Is it on learnstorybook.com or on the StorybookJS docs?
The official docs.
So I need to, let's go back to StorybookJS org and docs. Okay, and then.
So if you go under writing stories, you'll see the third one is parameters.
Yes. Oh yeah, it says.
and you can pass it per
Oh yeah,
story.
yeah,
So you would do it just kind of the same way we did
yeah,
with args, but you would do light app dot parameters,
yeah. This should work.
and then backgrounds should have
Let's
taken.
copy.
I don't think I have to enter name and value
Oh yeah,
because
yeah. They pass an object to backgrounds with values and name. Yeah.
which I think is so. The only reason I say that, I kind of based it before I pulled up the docs. I based it off code I've written before, so I'm unsure why it works in mine and not this one. But
I just copied it from the docs. Let's see what happens. How this looks like. Still loading.
oh no,
Interesting.
so
Now.
here I see what you did.
Oh, I put it into Args.
So
Oh no.
this is yeah, it's got to be under parameters. Can I? Yeah, there we go. But then you're gonna lose the default background being transparent. But you should just be able to set a transparent background, right?
Oh yeah, I need to add the arcs again. This.
So you have your oh, okay. I think I know what to do.
Yeah, it works now.
So the background is going to be there, and you'll see if you go up to your backgrounds, it's changed to red and green.
Yeah, it's changed. Yeah, but not the default.
So
I added new.
So what I believe is we have to do a default of.
Okay, that's why it's an object with default.
And then I think it should take it now. This should work now.
Let's see, refresh Storybook. Yes, now it's red by default.
There we go. All right, so I don't know why it didn't like that parameters default up there that way, because dark is a default value for Storybook in general.
What if we don't provide values and just say?
I know why. No, because I missed an S.
Oh.
It'll literally work now. Well, it might not because we passed the default red, but.
Oh yeah. Okay, then let's go back and remove the parameters for the demo app.
And now that should work.
Let's see. Yes, works. High five.
There we go. Awful.
Yeah, sorry, 5 seconds delay and whatnot.
That's all
okay,
right.
Cool. Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I haven't played around with the arcs and parameters.
So I found that very useful for very transparent things. Like we have a couple buttons that are transparent when they have loaders on them and stuff, and the loader is such a light gray that you can't see it in the render, but normally the button would have a background. So like if you just toggle the loader on these transparent buttons, you won't see it. So what I use that for is on those specific canvases, I pass that argument, the parameters argument, to be defaulted to dark. So this way you can see everything that's going on. So
now dark is the default for both stories, but if we add the demo parameters again and copy this from from here down to our app here. Oops, that was a typo. Here, Archer.
Save here.
So
one more time.
Yeah, there is another one. Okay, now the default background for our demo app should be dark, and for the other one it should be light now. You think this works?
It will whenever.
Let's see if this works.
It should work now. There was there was a missing P, or the P was on the other side of the period.
Okay, interesting. But yeah, okay, this is how you set the default background. Okay. That's cool.
And then, like for the light app, for example, if you wanted to do the background dark on that one as well, or vice versa, it's nice to be able to pass it in per render or as a default for the entire folder.
So we could go here to the light app, and so this is the dark app. This other one is the, let's rename this one here, and this one here. Now all typos are gone. So the background now is transparent for both apps, but the default background is different. Let's see. Let's refresh. Demo app. There's dark, and there's light. Perfect. Cool. Okay.
So just fun little things you can do with it. So I figure to show how the thing I can think of, because I've got about 20 minutes till I gotta go have a fun COVID test. So I think probably the best thing to show right now. I mean, what do you think? Is there anything we're missing besides like maybe add-ons for like a getting started perspective of things?
I think we should install one add-on so that people know how to install it. I mean, we could also show how to use Chest as a test suite and get the test results into Storybook. But I think it's easier to just select an add-on and because this is doable in 20 minutes. So let's find a cool add-on.
So I think we have to add the only add-on that's important, which is dark mode for Storybook.
Isn't it installed already? Because you mean for the theme, not
for the whole UI.
Okay. Yeah. So where is the add-on library? Oh, I'm on Learn Storybook again. So let's see there, because they have add-ons.
That was everybody's favorite edition.
Yeah, finally dark mode.
That was the developer edition for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So where is the add-on catalog? Here it is. Okay. So what's your most favorite, or what's the must-have add-on you install in every Storybook instance you set up?
It's definitely the dark mode, but
besides the funny part with dark mode.
The ally, to be honest.
Yeah,
I love the ally add-on to do accessibility checking.
It's this one here. Where is the sec? I mean, you don't see my Chrome, but it's the Storybook add-on. Let's install it right away.
I forget.
Storybook.
It's just the add store. Yeah, there you go.
I think it's this one. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I did not install it in Storybook 5 because in our old Storybook 5 instance, and even in Storybook 4, we did not install many add-ons besides Storybook README and what was the other one? Storybook Knobs. But ever since Storybook 6, I started to really explore the Storybook catalog and find lots of great add-ons. I mean, there is even an
I really
there are so many.
I love the addition add-ons. But I laugh, like the ally one is very important, but the dark mode one is like night and day difference for me. Everything I use is in dark mode, so
really?
Like when I go to everything. My eyes, I don't know. My eye doctor has told me it's the color of my eyes makes my eyes more sensitive to the light. I don't know how true that is. I think I just don't like bright things.
Yeah, I mean, I have my phone is on dark mode too. I use Twitter on dark mode, and when I once clear all the cookies from twitter.com, and I saw Twitter in light mode again after, I don't know, 2 years or 3 years, or ever since they got dark mode, let's say this way. And it was like, oh my gosh, it's so bright. It's like, I don't know. You get used to dark mode, yeah. And in the past, I used my iPhone in, is it called grayscale mode? Everything was just gray for 2 months, because I read an interesting article that the sensation of consuming YouTube videos or memes or every visual on your phone decreases when it's in gray. So when you see it in grayscale. Wow. And I did this for 1 or 2 months, I think. And it was really interesting to me because when I saw everything in just these gray scale or different shades of gray, it was really not that funny anymore. Everything was like the same, memes, videos. It was just
sad.
really. But what I noticed is that my screen time went down. So it had an impact. But I'm not sure if it was like because I had this experiment and I wanted to test it. So maybe I was biased because I knew what I test here and I wanted to prove that it works, kind of, you know. So maybe I should do this for another half a year and see if this works. But it was tough, and because the funny thing is, I even tried this on my desktop computer, and that was hard.
Oh wow.
That was hard because you don't see that, you know, when we have Visual Code open, I see colors. You know, you instantly see, okay, this is an export, this is a component, this is a parameter or whatever. And when everything is great, you don't see.
You get very used to your theme.
Yeah. And
that's why, like, I see people all the time, they change themes, like, just on that subject, and I don't know how they do it, because now if like looking at your code compared to mine right now, I'm just like, I don't know how he determines what is what.
Yeah, I mean, I can explain it. So one thing I changed, I don't know, this is the default dark theme that comes with VS Code, because I'm lazy selecting themes. The only thing I changed is I changed the we can we start from the beginning? Hi Paul. Yeah, maybe later I can do a wrap up because Devin has to leave soon. So the args here. So I changed the theme that parameters, like in this case it's args, are gray. So the thing why I did this is that every time I use them, I see instantly, okay, they're coming from outside of my component or function or whatever. So this helps me a lot to identify if they're from an external source or if they are from my component. So if let's say I do const bg color, let's say it's light blue, it's different. It could, because it's blue and it's italic. So it's italic gray when it's from external, let's say it's from external source as an input from my function or component, and it's italic and in this blue color here when it's a variable inside my function or component.
Okay, yeah.
And this helped me because when I scan the file, I immediately see, okay, that's part of my function, that's part of my scope. Hi Igor, or that's not part of my scope. It really helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
I can send you the snippet of my VS Code setting if you're interested. It's not easy to change this, but it's really powerful, at least to me, because I instantly see the type of this variable. Okay.
Yeah, I like the idea of it changing over like that. But so I'm bad with that too. I go down rabbit holes.
Yeah, but I love that. I mean, that's actually the real benefit of doing live streams together. These chit-chat things between coding. Okay, so yeah, what we did 5 minutes ago or something was we installed this add-on here. And as we said in the beginning, you just need to open .storybook main.js, which is the main file for your storybook configuration. Don't be sorry, Igor. Everything's cool. And I just added it to the add-on array. So it's up and running already. Do I need to change something? No, it should work out of the box, right? So that's...
Yeah, I think the only thing you have to do now is just run Storybook.
Yeah, let's run Storybook again.
That should do it, because once the package is installed, as long as it's added to the add-ons array, it should be good. What is happening?
Yeah,
I saw errors, but it should be all right. You know what it is?
Yeah, so so this
register.
is not... Is it? Do I need to add register?
Forgot about that.
Yeah, some of the add-ons are not prepared. Oh, last published 3 hours ago. Really? And I still need to do that? Let's try it without that. If this is really a bug, I'm sure they would have fixed it already.
So I've noticed that with a few of the imports that they have to have this /register after them. And I'm not exactly sure why.
Yeah, because I wrote an add-on myself because I wanted to learn and see how things work. In the past, you had to have a registered JS where you basically hooked into the Storybook ecosystem and said, hey, I'm an add-on, please register me. And now you can do a default export just in your package, and you don't need to add the /register or the register.js, and some are not yet prepared.
Okay. So let's see if that works.
So yeah, let's go to our dark app again. So there should be a tab, but there's just control and actions. Thank you, Igor.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to run it with register on
looks
it.
like. Okay, let's see, and restart Storybook again.
So that's a good thing though, because at least people will be able to see that this is an issue sometimes, and this is a very it's not the most intuitive thing, but it's a very easy fix. This is my one thing with Storybook.
What?
I love it. It takes so long to build.
Yeah.
Especially once you add stuff into it, like, you know, you get a hefty storybook with add-ons and everything else.
Yeah, we had one Docker image in one of our apps that pulled the main branch and installed Storybook dependencies and everything inside the Docker image, and then started, and it took ages. You know, and you just had to figure out and check the logs, and you have to wait, and it was like, when is the Docker image finally coming up? So there was a warning again, but I don't see it.
Yes, so it's an error in multi. Polyfill.
Can't resolve. Oh, there is no register. Okay, let's check. That's really interesting. I mean, they published something 3 hours ago. Maybe there is an issue already. Or we can create one.
I don't.
Let's see, register.
That is the ally package,
yeah,
right?
That's the one but I installed it. Let's see. Add store. Is it called story? It's just. Oh no. Oh, I installed the wrong one. I forgot the add. So in the README, it just says Storybook Addon ally, and I forgot the add sign. I never installed it.
That makes sense. Okay. Now.
They should add the add sign here in the README header for lazy people like me, or just copy the title.
Yeah. So then our main should not have register on it. Yeah, so we're good.
It.
It's funny. As soon as you went to that screen, I went to the package.json and I was like, wait, it's not there.
Wait, there was something. By the way, Paul asked us, what React courses tutorial do you chance recommend? Oh, there are a lot.
All right, so for me, it depends. It depends on if you want it free or not. Yep. The paid ones, or the paid one that I really enjoyed and I got a lot of use out of was Brad Traversy's. His React front to back. I really liked that course. For free stuff, DevEd has done very recently a course on getting a React app spun up with Create React App, and he does a good job of explaining how to go from like class components to functional components. Because I think it's a good thing to learn about class components, even though they're not really used, because if you end up in legacy code, you're going to want to know how to work within them.
You want to know that,
But I mean, I can tell you that, like, thankfully, I'm at a startup, so we're pretty modern with a lot of the stuff, which is nice. So I don't ever reach for class components, but I wanted to make sure I at least knew them.
Okay. Yeah, in our latest projects, we have 0 class components, except for the error, for the catch error component. There is this one component to catch error, the React component error boundary. Yeah, that was the name I was looking for. And there is this one lifecycle. I think it's component did catch or something, and there is no hook for this. So if you want to use that, at least I don't know. I still use the class component. Maybe there's a hook now, but when I started using React hooks, there was no for that. And this is amazing.
Could you write a custom hook for that, or is that just not worth the effort?
I don't know. I don't know if you can. I don't know. Because the only purpose of this lifecycle is that it catches. So if the error component renders a child and the child throws an uncatched error, you can catch the error in this component did catch lifecycle. I hope it's the name is correct.
Okay.
And then you can decide what to do. So in this error boundary, you can catch this error and then, for instance, update the UI and tell the user, hey, something bad happened. Or So we use this a lot in our apps. It's like one of the components at the top of our app tree, so we can catch whatever happens at least at some point there, so that there is no ugly JavaScript error in the browser. And I'm not sure if there is a hook for that. But anyway, so we added the accessibility and now it works. Storybook is up and running. We registered it, and we have a new tab here, accessibility, and the Create React App demo screen has 0 violations, 10 passes, and 1 incomplete.
Yeah. So if you want like a violation example, go to the primary button.
Ooh, is there? Oh yeah, there's a violation.
Under the
Ensure the contrast between foreground and background colors meets a contrast ratio threshold. Oh yeah, that's a really powerful feedback. I sometimes give also the designers, because they, or at least some of them, don't evaluate this. They don't check the contrast value that you can inspect in Chrome, for instance.
And what I like is that they give you a link to go to the more in-depth articles about why it's not a pass, why it makes a difference and it matters.
Oh yeah, there is some more
that kind of stuff. And the other thing I always preface this with, like even in when I wrote the documentation for our storybook, and we use Confluence, but I made sure that like when I got to the section about the ally button and everything like that, like in a big warning box, I was like, this should not be your only testing tool for this.
Yeah.
Like you should absolutely be using other things to test for accessibility. It's great. It's a great tool and it does help for like quick, but you should have some kind of a test suite for accessibility.
Sure. But as you said, you get a quick overview if you're going into the right direction while you're coding your isolated component. I mean, it's so easy to install it and make use of it. I mean, okay, I installed the wrong package first, so you have to take care of that. But once you've installed the correct package, it's really easy.
Yes, it's a great tool. It's very simple, and it's probably like every time I've set up Storybook so far, it's literally the first. I joke about dark mode, but this is the first add-on that I reach for.
Actually, one thing I would love to have an add-on to is like, I mean, it's difficult to test, I guess, but one thing I noticed, and I talked to some designers too, is that many of the designs we get as a developer are, let's say, designed in a perfect environment. The designers, or we sit in an office. There is the perfect light setup. You have a big screen with high contrast and brightness and everything. But people outside, they have the sun in their back or whatever, and they need to turn on the brightness of the screen. And this is something I try to focus on lately. Also, when I get designs or give feedback to designers, that I say, hey, does this contrast or this design work also outside in bright sunlight?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a tough balance because it's hard to hit every use case, obviously, but it's definitely something that's good to think about.
But it's hard. It's hard to test because I don't know how you test this in Storybook, for instance. I mean, maybe there is a way to do this, but but it's something I try to take care of. And
unfortunately, I think sometimes, like when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's good to think about, but it's hard to test for what a user's scenario is going to be, in a sense of, like, if I take my screen and turn my brightness all the way down, you shouldn't have to be expected to up the contrast of the things that you're providing. You know what I mean? And there's no way to do it dynamically. I would say, like, if we had some kind of way as developers to access the system, the peripheral setup, I'm sorry, not so much the system. Like, I know they've gotten much better with that, like an integrated, being able to tell if you prefer dark or light, that kind of stuff. But I think on like a peripheral level, like if I was to turn my monitor brightness to almost 0, I don't think, not that I know of at least, or would ever give permission to myself personally, some app on the internet to read what my hardware is doing.
Yeah, but you can do a lot. I was just doing a quick Google search, because there are a lot of media queries where you can detect, for instance, if the device is in dark mode or not, and some other stuff. And it would be really great if there would be a media query or a JavaScript detector for the light settings. So I mean that you could just
It
change the contrast.
It's just I think it gets a little more complicated
sure.
because of the hardware side and people not wanting to provide that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I mean, like, for example, like my monitor comes up as like a generic monitor on my Mac, even though it's got its specified stuff that it does.
Yeah, but I mean that's just just a thought I was talking to and discussing with designers, because I think that's an interesting topic to go out also with your designs and see them in action outside, where most people spend. I mean, in this current pandemic thing, I don't know if people stay more inside or go for a walk outside, but in general.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good thing to touch on, but I appreciate this. It's been a lot of fun, and I actually learned a lot about Storybook that I didn't know today. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you too. It was really fun. I hope all the viewers enjoyed it too. I will probably stick here for a few minutes and do a wrap up what we did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope you had fun, all of you.
I did, definitely. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for everybody that showed up and hung out. I appreciate it. I hope you learned something from this. And Stefan, thank you again for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me. It was really fun. We can do this again with another topic. Right. So, bye. Yeah, enjoy your day, and see you later on Twitter.
All right, I'll talk to you.
Bye.
Thank
you too.
Bye.
So, let's see how this works when I need to. Yeah, okay. So I do a quick. No, I still have him in my setting. Let's see. Okay, now he's gone. Okay, so let's do a quick summary of what we did today. So we installed Storybook in a Create React app. Showed you how to what the main.js and preview.js file are all about, so that you know what Storybook created here in these two files. And then we created our first app.stories.js, because that's the file Storybook is looking for to detect where stories are. And then we created two stories, one for the dark mode or let's say dark mode app, and light mode app. And we showed you how to use the arguments that are available since Storybook 6. I think it's 6. No, 5 something. They added it to 5 something, I guess. But in 6 it's definitely built in. And also the parameters, where you can use both of them to customize the story, which eventually looks like this. So we have here dark mode, and the dark mode is set here all by default. And we have the controls here and can change the color. Oh no, we can't, because I removed it here, I guess. No, I don't removed it. Let's see. It's not working the background anymore, but it doesn't matter. And we have also installed the accessibility add-on, where you see violations and it passes, and also incomplete accessibility rules that this plugin tests against your current screen, which is very helpful when you develop stories in Storybook. So guys, yeah, Devin is everywhere. So guys, do you still have some questions? If not, I will close this live stream in a few minutes or seconds. And thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. It was fun. I hope you had fun too. I will open source and publish this our code somewhere on GitHub, and share the link with you with all of you, so that you can see what we've done and check it out by yourself. So I'll still wait a few more seconds and see if some of you have a question. If not, I will close the stream in a few seconds. It was really fun, so please make sure that you follow Devin. His journey was really interesting to watch and see what he did and achieved. I think he joined Twitter in April this year or March, somewhere around that. Yeah, hi Chris. I was just about to end the live stream. No, you're not too late. Yeah, I'm closing it. Expect if you have some questions about Storybook, but I'm about to end this session because Devin had to go. It was really fun having him as a guest. I'd love to have you also here on my stream, Chris. Thank you, Elena. Yeah, that's cool. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have questions about Storybook, or if you're using Storybook in your project and want to share some interesting features, add-ons, or whatever, feel free to send me a link, a tweet, or whatever on Twitter. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, we will do that. We will host a live stream too. Actually, when one day we could go hiking and stream while we go hiking and have a discussion. I've seen documentaries on Netflix where the interviewer was hiking with the interviewee and they talked about stuff, and we could do that too. But okay, thanks for watching. I will share the code with you guys. See you on Twitter. I hope you had fun. Enjoy your evening. Yeah, live hiking, actually. Let's talk about that on Twitter. That's a cool idea. Yeah, it is. We could have a lot of fun. Okay, guys. So it was fun. Thank you very much.